My name is Jeff Bullard. Today I'm joined by Nik Madison.
Hello
Second
there.
place at Worlds. Clay Wood.
Hi.
Patrick Booth.
Heyo.
And Brandon Weber.
Hello.
All right. Welcome to the...
Does that mean, we got bumped for Nik? Nick shot straight to the top of the intro list now?
Dude, absolutely. Absolutely. Dude, coming in second place at Worlds, we'll bump you up a couple spots.
Hey, Mr. Hefe came in fourth. That's nothing to knock there.
I did okay. I appreciate the recognition, sir. So, dude, yeah. Welcome to the Core Collective. We are back for our post-Worlds report. We're going to go over just a couple quick things, and then we're going to dig into the meta of Worlds and kind of what we saw, what we see coming forward. Dude, I'm excited. But, dude, Nik, you did amazing. Like, top playing skills this weekend, man. I'm very proud of you. You knocked me out of top 4 to go on to second place. What do you have to say for yourself?
Dude, well, first off, that our match was so fun. Like, I wish it could have been me and you in like top table, just both West Coast players representing.
Oh, that would have been the dream.
Dude, like this past weekend was so much fun. Like, I know this whole year it's been practicing for Worlds, but you just never know how you're gonna do. Like the matchups have to go. Like there's a luck factor in who you get paired up against. Certain teams can handle other teams better, but just my main goal was to do better than I did the previous year, was top 32. So, and my top 32 game was against Isaac. So once I got over that bump or that hurdle, everything was just cherry on top. So like win after win, it was so cool just experiencing. And what was so great, it was just having everybody there, all my Vegas friends there, you guys there. Yeah, such a surreal moment, honestly.
Nice, very cool. Yeah. So the first day you competed in Pulp also, right? You got top 4.
So yes, the records say top 4. I think Anthony Barragon's score was misrecorded. They weren't doing double judge verifications because they were rushing everything. The last 2 minutes, or I'm sorry, the last 2 games, I think we had less than 30-minute matches.
I believe that would be accurate.
Yeah. So one of Anthony's rounds, the player recorded that he took the victory. So we ran the numbers. If Anthony went, I think it was 6-1, so same record as me, more points than I did. So the correct order should have been Anthony at 4, I'm at 5 and then Roland came in 6 as well. So we had 3 West Coast players top 8. I think Anthony ran our Moon Knight build. He wasn't gonna play.
He did.
I was like, dude, run this build, and he did it, and he was like top table for a few rounds. He did fantastic with it.
What was the build, since we don't have a link to share?
It was so it's Moon Knight. That's the easiest build if you're not familiar to the Pulp format to run. Mm-hmm. It was Moon Knight with Khazar, Madison, and Zarathos. The trick is send Zabu across the map. They're either going to leave Zabu alone. If they don't and they kill it, Moon Knight can just free pork and start racking up points. You have Zarathos to get that free retail as well, plus he's your proper. Madison perplexes. Khazar can move Moon Knight, so you can do a little yo-yo effect, kill something on their team, bring it all the way back. Very fun team to run, and he did very well with it. I know I'm kind of jumping the gun here, but I do want to see what the top 8 Pulp rankings were, because I think me and Anthony were the only top 8 players that did it in both formats.
So it's an amazing achievement.
Dude, that's awesome.
That is pretty cool to see just West Coast represent in both formats.
Yeah, big shout out to Anthony Barragon for repping the West Coast this weekend. Good job, buddy. Good job to you too, Nik.
I was so impressed with how all the West Coast folks did across the board in all the events. And yeah, like Jose did very, very well. I think he did did he do top 32?
I think it was 64. Yeah. Was it 32?
I think it was
64.
32. He lost to Az. Yeah, I don't know which round that was, but that was who knocked him out.
I think it was on Saturday. I think it was in that top 64 match because he was behind me.
Yeah.
Okay. And I think Alyssa was fairly close. But yeah.
And then Clay, you did very well also in the sealed, correct?
Yeah. So we took top 8 in the team sealed format.
That's awesome, man. Great job.
Congratulations.
Yeah, well done.
How do you feel about the set after playing with it?
Yeah, it's a very interesting set. It's very feast or famine. I don't think that has changed. Dark Side may be even harder to take down than I had originally thought. I think he's harder to kill than Chthon, for what it's worth.
I would agree.
And it's and the Colossals did a lot less than I anticipated, I have to say. I didn't see any of the Colossals like running the map as I thought they maybe would, like Flash Raptor or Super Soar.
Yeah. I saw Super Soar got taken down in like one turn. It was crazy. But I do want to segue into a little bit for our next episode is that 32-man bracket of the 300-point figures that we're going to fill out and we're going to see who wins. So that's going to be very exciting. Just a little preview coming up, guys. Any other highlights for the sealed event?
The other thing about the sealed was that the bricks themselves were like crazy feast or famine. My brick was awful. I think the only person who I talked to had a worse brick was like Lucas.
Lucas had absolute garbage doo-doo.
It was appallingly bad. And then, meanwhile, it's like you talk to other people, they're like, oh yeah, we pulled, we got Reverse Flash and Super Soar and Dark Side. It's like, Jesus, how?
Yeah, that's incredible. How do you not win with that?
Yeah.
Our best figure was Green Man, and I think we placed 11th because we were 11th seed going into top 16, and we got knocked out. So I can't imagine we were any higher than 11th. So,
I mean, the flip side is like the commons I think were really good. Like Mr. Mind is amazing, 30 points.
The Chimp, Detective Chimp.
He's really good.
So
Animal
annoying.
Man was awesome too. He's terrifying. I know a lot of people don't like that piece, but man, he's such a pain to deal with.
Vandal Savage.
I know you love it. Yeah.
No, I did not love him. I made him work. There was the love was I'm not sure. But
I liked your trick. You mentioned. Tell us what the trick you had that made that kind of work for you, Jeff.
So, like, I'd TK him out. I'd carry. What was I carrying with me? It was. Oh yeah, I get Green Lantern TA, and I carried because he has wild card, so I'd carry out an Empower, Flurry with him, so he gets the extra damage and stuff. And he's just so hard to kill, like so hard to kill. And if you do end up killing him, I popped out Wonder Dawn, and she's gonna flurry you and then quake you. So
I thought that was a great solution because Wonder Dawn is like her. She's not a bad piece, but she's just so slow.
Yes.
But you solved that problem right there. So
she's right there, ready to attack if you don't kill her.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
So do you think the team sealed format is like a staple at Worlds, or do you think it could be replaced?
I think it is definitely a staple. They've been doing it for well over 10 years, and I think for many people, myself included, it's like the best event.
I agree with Clay with this one. I think a lot of people come down to Worlds, and like I feel like there's 3 types of people that come down to Worlds. Those that come to play in the main event of Modern, those that come to play in team events and have fun with their buddies, and then like the people that just love the battle royale formats. And if you were to get rid of any one of those three, you would lose a chunk of people.
I like the idea of teams for sure. I just didn't know if like the sealed format could be replaced into potentially like a Highlander constructed build, which we've started to see, I guess, gain some popularity across the country.
Are you referring to like where they wanted to do the pulp team, but I don't think that ever actually fired off.
No, yeah. Not so much pulp related, but it could be. I know in Huntington they did 400 silver Highlander across all teams, because they didn't have any silver formats going on this time around. Didn't know if there was a wiggle room. If you guys thought that could be that it could be replaced, because I think that's a tournament structure that would be pretty fun to dive into.
Well, I guess what? Firstly, I don't think WizKids will do silver because I feel like that's we endorse it / we'll fund it, but that's the non-us format that we're okay with. But that's my just plain assumption there with that one. I'm not saying they won't. I think the other issue is people tend not to do Highlander because most people aren't really original, and if you don't have a cohesive like team builder between like your team who can actually build 3 teams that don't share a figure, that's kind of tough, especially in current modern where like who gets to play the Carnage Silver Surfer, right? It's a little tough.
I think there's enough constructed, to be honest. I think that if they really wanted to do something like that, they'd have to add another day. Probably. I think that sealed is a really important format and very popular. And I don't think it's a good idea to go to just like a complete constructed tournament. And having played in tournaments that do that, I don't know about you, but like I struggle with multi-day tournaments and then that's compounded by the fact if you have to build 3 teams, it's extreme across different formats. It's extremely difficult to build those teams, to coordinate with partners, and then practice that. I don't know. It's just overwhelming. It's too much for me.
To practice multiple different teams and be efficient with 3 different teams to want to like triple hat it, right? Like the sealeds, I agree, is a little more even playing field, right? You get what you get, you make it work. It's a different skill set than building your 3 constructed teams. Like it draws a completely different crowd. Because people are like, oh, we're gonna pull great stuff, and then they don't pull stuff and they get sad, but they're still happy that they're playing in an event with their buddies. Like I would imagine it's the mentality. Maybe I'm wrong, but like it brings a different crowd in, right?
Team sealed is like Christmas morning.
Dude, yes. Who doesn't love cracking boosters anyway, right? Like, that's why we're all crackheads. We're all plastic crackheads.
It's just a bunch of coal.
Yeah.
Well, sometimes you've been naughty.
Yeah.
So what did Lucas do to be so naughty? You get so much coal in his booster.
Lucas had it rough. 3 crit misses in nationals, and then pulls ass.
Yeah. But he did do very, very well in the
pulp, right?
So.
Yeah, I found out like what exactly went on. I have my thoughts on the pulp event. I don't know if you guys want to go into it briefly.
Sure.
So Lucas I want to say it was end of round 5 or beginning of round 6. They were saying that we were just going to do one, like round 6 was the last round. Because we were running low on time. And we ended up doing that extra round because a few players were upset that if you had 1 loss, that was going to immediately eliminate you from being able to win the tournament. So I found out that Lucas, I think, going into round 6 was the only undefeated player. We should have stopped at that point.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, honestly, they should just call the tournament a single elimination tournament.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think like that was a point of frustration for Lucas, which isn't to diminish from Isaac's win at all. Like, but I think the real disappointment was probably more that they made the last in the decision to do 2 rounds, they decided to play them at less than 30 minutes apiece. I think they were like they're around 25 minutes each.
Yeah.
Which is like, that's just kind of silly. They should have just done the 1 round and had it be a normal game. I think, and then it's compounded by the fact, is my understanding, they didn't even tell the players ahead of time that they were going to be abbreviated in time. So it was just like, surprise, it's done.
You can't tell, like, you can't say, hey, we're going to run short rounds, right? Like, because then someone's going to kill something and then run away, right? They're not going to play. Right. Like, you're going
to make that.
Like, it was just a bad situation overall, right? Like, not only did, like, the event system struggle to keep up all day, like, that ate up so much time between rounds. Like, the judge staff did the best they could with the situation they had in their hands, right? Like, they were working their butts off. Just, there was a lot of factors out of their control that slowed the process down to where they had to cut those last rounds short, right?
And I think that's where we would say, like, something like this. It's like, there's no blame on the people that were there at the event running it, right?
I believe that's what I said, right?
I'm just saying, I'm clarifying. It's like, we're not blaming anybody that was there running at the event. What it just sounds like is like the preparatory work that was put into the event could have been a little bit more refined. I know I was chatting with a WizKids staff member during the weekend, and he did mention that some of the craziness was going on because whoever originally set up the convention and did the time layout was not the same person that was actually there at the event. I guess they must have left the company, and he wished them good well. He had no ill will towards them, but it seems like the communication between the previous person who started everything and the person eventually who was like got landed in their lap was lacking, and it just felt like somebody was trying to do the best they could, and you could see that in the staff just doing their best, like watching Anthony run around like, you know, his butt was on fire was hilarious, yes, but the man was doing everything he could to try and, you know, make it a good time for everybody. I think my takeaway, my feedback would have been like, if you plan on using a piece of technology or something that you create for an event, I feel like you need to stress test it prior to its usage. And it felt like, I guess it was called like the Sandbox app or whatever it was, just was not stress test. And in addition to that, I don't think they stress tested prior to the event kicking off with the, let's be honest, not the best internet or wireless internet available in the area, right? So, you know, not only did you not stress test your app/program in the perfect conditions, let alone in the conditions that you were going to have. And I feel like WizKids have probably, you know, you got what you paid for in that case, and hopefully they learn from it this year and they go, you know what, next year a lot of this was really good. Let's take the information we have and keep moving forward with it.
I feel that's their plan. Like, they were very accepting of the, like, I wanted to say the criticism, honestly, of what was going on, and they're like, we understand there's room for improvement, and the sky's the limit. I think they're going to do great next year.
Definitely.
Like, it was a great learning year for like the new team. So I think it's going to be great next year. It shouldn't be any issues.
This is my third Worlds, and they've definitely progressed every year that I've gone so far. I think with Pulp, the year prior they had a 64 player cap, and then this year was no cap. So that was probably something that they weren't expecting, was what's the number we're going to get for Pulp.
Yeah. How many players was it? Do you know?
I think it was 78.
78, yeah,
something like that.
Okay.
I will say this though, being a person that's been to Worlds way too many times, right? And I think all of us have been in that boat. At least we've been at least 3 times, except for
I've been
Brandon.
twice. It's my second time.
All right, everyone's been there at least more than once. Great. The one thing that I feel like WizKids does not learn from, and I feel like this is like would be my constructive feedback if anyone's listening, is that the process to sign up and to purchase things needs to be streamlined, right? I think I heard from someone during the week that a really good idea was use If you're going to use stuff digitally, use things digitally. Let me pre-purchase things. You have that awesome TCB package, right? That's already pre-purchased, already pre-set up. All I gotta do is pick it up. Let me do that with my convention LEs. Let me do that with my events, right? Let me get all that out of the way so that I don't have, like I think in my case, on the first day that I was there to sign up for everything, I was in line for over 4+ hours to just purchase and sign up for things, and it felt really like a wasted day.
Yeah, and that should be extended to like event registration as well.
Mm-hmm.
So one thing, I know there were a lot of hiccups with the system, but I do want to acknowledge that, conceptually there are a lot of improvements. Like, I think it's actually great that we're moving towards a digital system where scores are input by the players, where you can see who you play, where you play the game, all on your smartphone. Like, these are the right things, the right system. Conceptually, even if the execution didn't quite land, but I think with time, I think it will. We'll get there.
Let's say 3
100%.
years from now, I think we won't have any more of these problems.
I feel pretty good about next year.
I like to be conservative, but I love your gumption.
We got a whole year to fix this stuff.
We just need to get Wi-Fi. Like, genuine, like that place needs Wi-Fi.
They can just pay for a hotspot for the weekend.
Issue.
Yeah, I heard that the convention center had Wi-Fi and no one was told about it.
Yeah, or wasn't given.
Hey, so how long did it take him to figure out they had mics for the speakers in the ceiling?
I think it took about a day.
2?
I didn't hear it until Saturday.
I didn't
Yeah,
hear
it was like 2
until Friday.
days. No, it was like Saturday.
Okay.
Like halfway through Saturday, I think.
Days blend at a certain point, so you're probably right.
I'm like, yeah, I was like, there's huge, like, this is a fancy hall. Like, it's recently been renovated. It should have all these modern amenities.
I will say my
It's
favorite
taken
thing
them
about
3 years to realize that.
That's true. That's sad. I would say my favorite thing about the hall, though, is the staff that works there is on point. Those bathrooms were pristine and cleaned at a gaming convention. That's a gold star right there, baby.
So they came out at some point and had a conversation with people and said, hey, you all need to stop making the bathrooms a mess and treat it like your own home, right? Like they came out and said that on like a little side speaker so people could hear. Before they had the PA working, they came out and said that on their little side PA. Yeah, it was a little awkward.
That's how you
like,
talk to gamer nerds. Get them in line, man.
Dude, I saw them in there like every 5 minutes just spraying everything down. There's like 2 men just in there constantly cleaning.
There was one issue in the bathroom. That's why.
Huh?
But I think the urinals were overflowing or something like that.
That's a lot of piss.
They had
urinal cake or something, dude? What up?
I don't know.
That's wild.
It was just like underneath the 3 urinals were just wet.
Huh.
Like, that's
I
disgusting.
didn't see that.
Missing or aim, I suppose.
As a person that was drinking like 10 bottles of water to hydrate my throat, I was in there quite frequently.
Yes.
So I was in there every round.
Yeah. I was like, I mean, dude, I can't believe I made it through the whole thing without losing my voice, like all the way.
So I think that's where our segue goes into thanking Curtis Chambly. We appreciate you, Team Vegas. You are our support man. You're in our hearts. Love
Curtis
you, man.
hooked it up on that trip so much. Sorry, that was a little shout out we had to do there.
There you go.
Should we talk
All
about
right.
the big dance?
The what?
The big dance singles?
Yep.
Let's
All
do
right.
this.
Nick, you want to go first? You want me to go first?
Lead the way, sir.
Oh,
Alright,
he
I
just
got
said
it.
loser goes first.
That's fair. That's fine.
That's not what I said at all.
All right.
So I don't know where you want me to start. So.
I was playing this super cool team. It's Phoenix Sentinel Butterfly, Kid Thanos with the pumpkin bombs, Orb Scott Porter with the Sinestro core ring, Black Shirt Scott Porter, and that super dope bystander Weasel. My sideline consisted of Killmonger, Iron Inquisitor, Myrn, the Penguin from Notorious, Deadpool from X-Men X of Swords, and Cosmo Legacy card. I think, also Nifty Traffic Barrel, Hedge and Coffin, lots of blocking. Yeah, pretty much every game except for Nick, I went into Myrn. It's basically like old school tech where you equipped Phoenix Sentinel because you have to sidestep, pick it up, power action, drop it in the next square, and then equip. So that's basically my turn 1, and then turn 2, I either energy explode you if you're all close to each other, or I just pretty much deal 6 damage with Phoenix Sentinel between 2 targets that deal the burn damage afterwards. If you guys aren't familiar with the trait, it's Psychic Penetrating Blast. When Phoenix Sentinel hits with a range attack after resolutions, for each hit character, deal 1 penetrating damage to each opposing character within 3 squares of that character that shares a keyword and or a team ability. So you basically are within 3 squares of yourself, and you share a keyword or team ability with yourself. So you're taking 1 extra, and that extra feedback damage on everyone else is real nice. Yeah, I went first, all but 2 games. I won the first one that I did not go first against, and then Nik got me in top 4 when I went second. Dude, big shout out to Mike Eskew. Best game of the weekend. Sorry, Nik, you're the homie, but dude, my top 64 match was the best match of the weekend. So yeah, big shout out to you, buddy. Thank you. And Nik, take it away, sir.
With my team?
Yeah. That's you. Elsa, pass the torch.
Well, I had a quick question.
Sure.
With your team, how many times did you play a Phoenix Sentinel, like a mirror match?
Once in top 32.
It was just that cup. Because
I went first.
I think your version of Phoenix Sentinel was equipped to go second against another Phoenix Sentinel team.
100%.
Ducky Deadpool.
Like he said he had a strategy, but I was like, I don't know if that would have worked. Maybe. Yeah. It might have made it inconvenient, but like the action economy he would have had to do, I don't know, would have been effective enough to do what he needs to do, right?
Right. Sorry, I just wanted to.
Whereas your strategy, Jeff, was
Clay's strategy, because he gave me the team. But yeah, like, so honestly, I was between this and the Colossus team, very similar to what I played in Artesia. And I was talking to Ryder the night before, and I was like, Ryder, what should I play? He's like, Phoenix Sentinel. I was like, all right, let's do it.
I also just want to make sure everybody's aware of this. You did not want to play in the tournament.
No. For one, I did not practice with the team. Like, I had helped Clay and Andrew with their teams, like with like theorizing stuff. Like, I did not practice with the team. I woke up feeling like shit. I was like, nah, I'm gonna go back to bed. And Clay's like, no, get up and play. So thank you, Clay, for that. But yeah, like, I was ready just to not play in the morning. So yeah,
That's
too
awesome.
Funny, right? Got to make it work, right?
When me, you, and Anthony, we were all in top 16. We went out that night. That was such a fun night.
Oh my god! So
top 16, baby.
Dude, I don't even know where we went. What was the name of the restaurant?
It was I don't know.
I have no idea the name of the restaurant. They had the best ribs. I don't think they didn't charge us for the beers, by the way.
Nice.
But dude, the food was amazing, super good shrimp, and then the live music came on, and then the dude singing was just singing the perfect songs.
Yeah.
Like in the order, like the vibe was perfect. So like, dude, the West Coast was on fire Saturday. Like, dude, it was great.
So Jeff, you know, so I think the strategy around if you go second that I didn't see a lot of really any other Phoenix Sentinels employ was like you pull out Deadpool and you go to Atlantis Throne Room.
100%.
And you know you have a 12 range bumped up by shield, and now your opponent has to be within 4 squares to hit you, which is pretty tough to do.
Yeah, I was talking to Caleb right before we played on what is it, Sunday morning, and he's like, "Are you worried in the mirror match?" I was like, "No, like if I go second, I'm fine." And then he looked at my sideline and he's like, "Oh, I get it."
Yeah.
Nice.
You know, and it's you know you'd ideally rather have Mern or Penguin, but
yeah.
You know, if surviving is more important, right? So
like being able to shield pump so you only have to do 2 shield pumps, right? Because Weasel gives you a +1 damage already, right? So you can get up to 6 damage real easy. Nuke 2 things, just devastating, right? And the icing on the cake, if you happen to pull the right tarot card, the tower, you miss, Orb says, "Hey, that's a critical hit." And
That was
the other trick that we had up our sleeves with this team.
I was so happy I got to do that on camera. That was like the epitome of my weekend.
Yeah.
How many times did you get people with that where they just didn't see it coming at all?
Like 4 times.
That's awesome.
4 times.
I gotta say,
I crit energy exploded a team, 2 different teams, and like it happened like turn 3 or turn 2 or 3 with Andrea, and then it was like the last turn against Mike SQ when everything was already done. So like it wasn't as big of an impact, but yeah, being able to do it on camera was so cool.
You know, the reason why. So I was kind of the one who came up with that. I'm going to steal the credit, but honestly,
dude, 100%, it was all you.
A lot of it was because Nik did the same thing to me at Atomic Comics a few weeks ago, and I'm like, wow. You know, we keep having this discussion around like how do you get around like the rollout meta, and it's like, well, you know what is really good against rollouts? Critical hits. Can't roll out of a critical hit other than shape change. So if you can force that critical hit, like you know, especially with all the splash damage, it's like GG.
Oh, dude, it was so perfect. Like,
I gotta say, Jeff, I think this team. I mean, there's like MOEs rotate out, and it's obviously Scott's. The foundation is still there to play this again.
Oh, 100%. Like, it's just the meta needs to settle, and if people are still playing theme teams, it's cool, right? But if everyone's just playing all the good stuff, and if things aren't lining up with keywords or TAs, it may be a little rough, right?
I think theme teams are still a necessity to go first. I mean, we've talked about. I mean, we don't have the exact percentage, but clearly, if Dylan went first every single time and went undefeated, I mean, that points in the favor of going first is still very strong.
No, 100%. Like, if you can get the alpha and just kill them before they can kill you, right?
I think it depends on what kind of team you're looking to play. Like, if you're playing an alpha team, then obviously you kind of want to go theme because you want to go first. But if you're playing just like a general good stuff team that can survive a hit, then you probably don't necessarily need to go first.
Just depends on how strong the alpha is, because I'm sorry, something's got to be done with Mern. Mern's a huge issue in this environment right now.
I agree.
So then you go unthemed stuff that's unmernable, right?
It is.
The meta will change. It'll settle.
Yeah, we could table that for another podcast.
I think this team doesn't quite hold up after the change because Iron Inquisitor is a really key piece, not just because of the mastermind, but because of the shield.
Shield pumps.
Right.
And the pumpkin bombs are gone, and so your alternative is to play Penguin, but you can't really play both Penguin and Mern. And now the major Brock's Bunker is back. So there's an oppressive indoor map. And so, and then of course the tarot cards is gone too, so you can't do the orb crit hit trick anymore.
Yeah.
Huh.
So,
the chariot. That seems great.
Anyways, let's talk about Nik's team.
Sorry, I derailed us there.
No, those are good questions.
Let's do it, Rocco. Mr. Rocco, in honor of Brandon, by the way.
Well, somebody had to play the keyboard correctly.
Oh, okay.
No, I mean, so this team is let's see, what's the best way to describe it? Roland created 3 different teams throughout the year. Okay, this is the culmination of all 3 teams.
Let's give the breakdown for the listeners that don't see it.
This team right here. So
we
have Carnage Surfer with Avatar, Khonshu, Dark Phoenix, Mern, Genesis with Swordbearer, Elsa with Trick Arrows that I would Cathan, Mephisto, both Scots. Sideline, Khonshu, Cathan, Killmonger, Iron and Quiz, Kit Thanos, and Black Skull. Tarot deck, Hangman.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah. No, the tarots typically do too much. Daily Bugle is my defensive map. I had to use it a few times. Survived a Kong Colossus Alpha on that map, and so I mean that is the team. The team plays like this. So else, let's see. Genesis carries White Shirt, Elsa, Mern, White Shirt, Elsa, mid map. Elsa free attacks on an equipped character, flips a trick arrow, swaps the trick arrow to Genesis. Phoenix moves, triggers an attack with Genesis, allows me to flip another trick arrow because the errata says you can only flip it once per that hit or that character. So I'm flipping it to another character or swapping it to another character. So it bypasses the ruling there. Which allows me to do what I was doing in every game, which was two dangerous arrows, which is 3 damage to everybody knockback. Both Elsa and Genesis have precision strike, so if the 9 of swords is out, it's just death to everybody. Even if that card isn't out, I mean, 3 damage knockback does so much. And that's all before ITK Surfer in and he double taps somebody, right? And the team was meant to, after the alpha goes in, I then huddle up mid-map around an MOE. Everybody's protected with Mastermind protection. So that's how the alpha flowed.
I'm curious, Nick, one of the things that stood out to me about your team was you actually played many lower point piece characters. And so you kind of went a different direction from what a lot of other people were doing, which is like reduce the number of characters to be able to make it difficult for your opponent to double action Kong.
Yeah.
But that clearly didn't seem to affect you. How did you deal with Kong and going second and not having to get completely crushed?
It depends on the Kong team. So if I go Daily Bugle, I spent way too many hours on every side of Daily Bugle figuring out my setup, and I figured it out that like one Kong cannot take 2 actions and attack me on Daily Bugle. If it's a 2 Kong team, I think that was the only way they could do it. Or if it's a Colossus Kong, they could use Colossus to blow up some of the blocking. But one attack with Kong, I'm okay with because they have to pick up terrain markers. So that means they can't murn me, and I'm keeping my defensive values while at the same time murning them. The defensive structure to this team is honestly underrated. I have an MOE, 5 ways of re-rolling my opponent, and a lot of figures on the team have super senses. So there's some level of evasion. I have probability and combat values at my disposal.
And I thought it was interesting. You might have been the only person I remember who played Mephisto, who, boy, is such an amazing piece, but really kind of got knocked out of the meta by the Scott Porters. You're like, I'll play them all.
Love it.
Pretty much.
Was it worth having him on there? Did he save you, or would it have been better to, I don't know, play some more equipment or other things that could have, I don't know, offered more support?
He was my Silver Surfer mastermind fodder. I know you can mastermind a Scott, but I wanted to keep Scott healthy for the Pulse Wave retaliation on the counterpunch. I just felt that was worth it in my opinion. But Mephisto, I mean, he brings prob, outwits the team, and I benefit so much from the MOE swaps, whether it's healing my figures, clearing tokens, or my opponent's playing swap mechanics. Like when I played Alex Mater, he was running 2 MOE swaps. That Mephisto is triggering so many times in a game.
So you're like clearing, healing your whole team.
Yeah. That's cool.
There was a scenario where he had Mern on it with stop click and brought in an MOE, and I was like, well, I'm gonna heal him off the stop click, so now you have to double tap him again.
It's pretty remarkable that Mephisto disappeared so hard because he really is such a good figure.
Yeah, he's really good.
Yeah, Maybe he'll shine in Silver Age.
Maybe we hope. Unfortunately, we don't know what the hell's going on with Silver.
I think we'll get an announcement here in a couple weeks.
Let's run through Dylan's team real quick, because I think everybody, love to hear your thoughts about this team, how your game went.
Yeah. So let's see. We have Man-Thing. Man-Thing was there because, it pairs with Jennifer Kale. He can body block for Jennifer Kale with Man-Thing to keep Kale alive. But it's also 5 points more expensive than Kong. So if he needs to deal exploit damage to Kong, he can do that. I'm fairly certain he had if he goes first, his alpha is Kong and Man-Thing. He has enough perplexes to do so. Brother Voodoo, huge shout out to that figure.
He dope.
I was rewatching a few of Dylan's games and just seeing if a surfer's 2 clicks away from death, die, 2 damage, you're dead.
Sad bear.
I forgot who he was Cathoning. Did he have Cathon on this team? I'm assuming he did. It's a mystical team. Yeah.
Probably
Man-Thing?
Man-Thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because he free places. But he ran this team so efficiently in top table. I mean, he went undefeated the entire tournament. And even when I was watching his game against Daniel Powell, I think Daniel's counterpunch put him up pretty significantly, and Dylan is just moving so fast paced, and he knows that he's down. He needs to get back into it, and he's making the right moves, the right choices, no hesitation. So yeah, he had so much practice with his team. You could tell that he definitely deserved to win.
I watched the finals match. Now, I liked that he picked the quarter he put Jennifer Kale in the corner and did a really good job with the setup of the rest of his team, body blocking her, not keeping her adjacent to them.
Yeah.
I thought that was very clever, because I think it really prevented you from getting to her in any capacity, even to just use the boot to knock her into the wall and deal her some damage and get her down to her low defense clicks.
Yeah, I rewatched our game. Definitely had our game. We both crit on the map initiative, so that was fun. It was very similar to me and you, Clay. And I ended up winning the roll off. So I go first. He puts me on Wakanda. I am watering at the mouth at this point, right? I see Kong. I see White Shirt Scott with Mern. I know my alpha is going to do its thing. He flips the fool. Can't use trick arrows. And that put me on tilt for the rest of the game. Rewatching it, I realized that after the counterpunch, the score was 25 to 100, if I'm not mistaken, where I had killed his White Shirt and he retaliated by killing Mern and my MOE at the time.
Yeah.
Roland and I say this all the time. There's always one decision you make in a game where it's going to cost you. And I think my decision came down to me going after Man-Thing instead of Kong. I think if I buckled down and spent a little bit more time figuring out how to kill Kong, I would have been in a much better setup going into the latter rounds. Because leaving Kong alive, the third round, his Quake killed both Scots and Surfer. And it's the multi-target that really hurt me. If I leave Man-Thing alive, he's only attacking one character. It limits the amount of characters he can attack. And things to learn and take to the next tournaments.
Yeah, the Fool was definitely a pretty crazy card. I was curious why you didn't just kind of D up and let the next card.
It crossed my mind. It's just I put both my terrain markers off to the side of the map because I'm going first, and I can't use stop sign because I can't use my constructs because of the equipment. Yep. So I'm bunkering up. He's gonna bring Kale over. He's gonna Kong me with printed values because that's what Kale allows him to do. I wanted to get up on points in what little way possible. And yeah, I mean, that was kind of my mentality.
Yeah, I mean, I think he does have. I think he has a much stronger punch back than an alpha, which isn't to say his alpha is not bad. He has one, but like he would have to. It seems like he would have to spread his team out, or or alternatively, he is going to have to end up with Kid Thanos on the map, right?
Yeah, it depends on the tarots as well. If he flips Page of Pentacles, everybody's getting over.
Sure. Yeah.
Just let you guys know, that's the one with the stealth.
Yeah, free play 6 squares. Man Thing has it. Has stealth. Kong has stealth from Conchu.
I love this card. I've talked about. Remember, I was talking about this card. I was like, why aren't more people using this for their alpha?
It's fantastic.
Because like it was a big thing.
Yeah.
On it, but like it can also be really, really good for your opponents too.
It's the same concept as the plasticity card. Well, it's the plasticity card with the surfers. Like you don't guarantee on it, but if it comes up, it's sure as hell real nice, right?
Yes.
If you're the second player and you flip that in the first turn, you've just given your opponent a really big advantage.
Yeah.
Fair.
I think there's more stealth in the game than there's plasticity, like on meta figures.
Fair.
I know Alex Mater plays this card with Prime Spidey, and it's an incredibly potent combo.
Yeah. Yes. Well, like we saw a ton of it in the silver with Agatha and stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Arachnite, like they just go.
So what do you guys think? Like, we talked I'm sure we've had a lot of conversations both on the mic and off around modern, like the meta for going into Worlds. I'd love to hear your thoughts around, did your expectations hold up? Were there anything that really caught you by surprise? Anything you wish you would have prepared for more? Or did you over-prepare for anything? A lot of questions there. Sorry. Pick one.
I think there was just a lot of different builds. Like before all the erratas and stuff, everyone was playing some kind of Blackheart team, right? Like almost every team had Blackheart on it, but there was just so much uniqueness from what I saw. Like there was just so many different pieces that made the cut and were able to perform at a high level.
I think Colossus did not make top 16 or top 8. It was one of the two, which is interesting to hear. But
was he still played though? I don't remember seeing too many of them.
He was played.
I don't think he didn't make top 8 for sure.
Right.
Because no one here had it.
Go back to the meta, Jeff. You can see how many top 64 Colossus there were. So click I think you're sorting by wins.
Popularity?
Yes. Yep, do popularity.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have it. Now scroll down. Yeah. There, Colossus. So Colossus was on 8 teams. That's top 64.
That's not a lot, to be honest.
That was the biggest shock to me, was the lack of Colossus.
He fell out of favor.
But it was, Jackson won his Cali event with Kong Colossus.
100%.
Jackson was doing very, very well. I think he just kind of had a bad matchup in the top 64 or something. Got knocked out.
Was it 64 he got knocked out? I think it was.
I have to look at the rounds there.
We had a Zod team. Wasn't expecting that in the environment.
100%. That PJ made top 16. Lucas and Matty G were all playing.
Yeah.
It was very good. I got to play against PJ round 2. I flipped the Queen of Cups and I could not nuke his Hulk to stop him.
That's on you for having that in your tarot deck.
I will defer. to my team builder.
I mean, that point
honestly,
is always
it did
being
save me a couple turns.
Like, exactly.
It saved
That's
me
like
a
when
couple.
Booth
It's
had
not only a couple
death
turns. It
in
saved
his
me a couple
tarot.
games. So it
Yeah, I mean the tarot cards work for both people. So
it was an unfortunate time. I got points. He did not clear me. So yeah, it was
Fair.
all right. I progressed fine throughout the event. Apparently.
I played him. I played PJ as well. I forgot which round it was. I think it was two rounds before we cut to the top 64, and I did my normal defensive structure
Mm-hmm.
where I limited him to just attacking Mephisto. So his initial alpha, I felt like I did fairly well against. He just got 30 points off of me. He did energy explode like a portion of my team. But the mistake I made was I was unaware that Zod is outwittable, and I split my team before I realized that. So I was like, oh, if I just stay here and focus on Zod, it's a different game.
100%.
I think I would have been more prepared. I mean, I think that Zod team is just, it's unknown to the environment. That's how it's going to get a lot of its wins, is you have no idea what I'm doing.
Yeah. I expected to see more double major Logan teams, more rollout teams. If they were there, they weren't doing very well. I ran into major Logans, but like it didn't matter because I just kind of critically exploded them, so they couldn't roll out.
Isaac is the only one that I faced that had a full point major Logan.
I didn't face full point ones, so like, and if you get them off that click, it's pretty much a non-issue, right? So
yeah, I know. When Chase was battling his way up into the back into brackets, when he was at the lower tables, a lot of the major Logans were there as well.
Maybe people just had a plan. They were anticipating it.
Yeah.
Had answers. I expected to see more AKs. I didn't see a single Arachnite in my rounds.
I know Anthony Barragon was running an Arachnite.
No, yeah, and he got top 16.
Yeah, and then Alex Mater, I believe, had one as well, and he was top 8.
8, yeah, top 8.
Yeah.
Everything else I was kind of expecting to see.
I was really surprised with how many Phoenix Sentinels there were. I know that like
it popped up last minute for sure.
And Jason Elvey had played one. I was not. I mean, I think I scanned across the whole tournament when I was walking around. I must have seen well over a dozen out there. I was just shocked how many there were.
Yeah. It because Caleb was on it like last minute too, right? Like he showed up with it. So there were 7 teams out of the top 64. And like 5 of those wins were me, I think.
Which for a piece that has never won a big tournament.
Dude, 100% no.
Yeah.
Like,
Wild.
For me to be able to carry that figure to top 4, like that's crazy. It was, dude, it was fun, man. It was a crazy ride. All right, so more about the data. Want to look at the equipment sideline stuff, Clay. What else were you thinking?
I guess I'm curious. Was there anything else was there anything? What was I going to say? I lost my train of thought. Sorry. What riveting podcast material I know. Where do you think things go afterwards? I maybe we just move on to.
So what do you think on this list continues to play?
I mean, clearly Kong, clearly Butterfly.
Mern isn't going anywhere.
Yeah, Mern.
Yep.
Colossus. Daredevil's gonna still see play.
I think Colossus gets better now because there's less answers for him.
Yeah.
And him paired with like the mind control from the Butterfly seems like a lot. And then if you just want to throw a Starro in there, just why not?
A lot of mind control.
Mm-hmm.
Seems like you're going to be playing your opponent's turn, their turn. It just seems like a lot of you playing HeroClix.
Maybe the toughest question, one of the biggest questions on my mind, I think it was touched on earlier, is like, How important is it to go first? How important is it to have a theme team? I think like the benefit that Porter's offered to you was unparalleled. And so having a theme team was really a no-brainer because you wanted those benefits.
So
but going first now so important that you need to still keep theme?
I'm going to throw this out there because I did learn something very valuable this weekend. You can have the benefits of a theme team without being a theme team. And you do that through a man called Supernova. Does everyone know what Supernova does?
But he is a really crappy piece.
+1 for map roll?
Okay, so Supernova says you get +1 to map roll for every character on your team with the Time Stealers keyword. Now,
Ultra Humanite.
I mean, Mr. Mind. We just talked very highly about Mr. Mind, right?
So now, it's a history on our terms, right? There's a couple people have this Time Stealers trait.
No, he's the only one that has that trait.
Okay.
You have to play him. Now,
we talked about this. I remember.
Is he worth 50 points? I don't know.
No.
Is it?
No.
Hey! I'm answering the question here right now. Right?
So it's a rhetorical question. Okay. Then why is 4 of us here?
I will admit, I'm not going to say he's a bad figure, right? But if someone wanted what Clay is saying, they have the option, is my point, to pay the premium to do it, because sometimes making a theme team to get to building a theme team to just out of just getting that +3 is just not efficient enough, or
no, with the amount of
not happening.
With the amount of absurdly good bystanders there are in the Deadpool Weapon X set that give you perplex, that give you prob, that give you mobility, that give you outwit, like you have access to all those powers. Like you can build a relatively core 260, 270 point theme team, add your extra support. I think you'll be okay.
Yeah, I don't think you'd want to sacrifice 50 points. I think if you really want to win map, you're just going to start off by building a theme team.
You could do that. My point though with my statement was there is another option.
So
good option.
So I guess to give my opinion on this,
maybe Paul.
Supernova, we agree, is ass. I think the only reason you pair him up is if you're going to try to run an Ultra Humanite animal team with that, because we have amazing animals in the environment. I mean, Kong's an animal. I think a few of the 2x2s are animal.
All the 2x2s are animal.
Yeah. Okay. That's fair. Yeah.
Most of them. Yeah.
So I think that's the only acceptable route if you want to run Supernova, is if you go the Ultra Humanite route, because he adds some sort of flavor to the team. But it goes back to the initial question. Is going first? How important is going first?
Yep.
Right now, what's our defense for second without MOEs? Mern. We have Death Metal, Wonder Woman for survivability.
Yeah.
I guess the question
is that and taking it on the chin.
I think Barrier got better.
We lost the stop sign.
No, not against Colossus.
Yeah.
But there is no fire hydrant anymore. And the fire hydrant.
But there's no stop sign.
Well, you have to play, you have to have Barrier on the team. Just print a Barrier. Green Man, I think, is fantastic for Barrier. I want to point to King Jefferson. He's 60 points, little high costed, but look at his first trait. If you position the barriers correctly, I think that stops a Kong from getting in.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, but what about figures that can just move through?
I think 19 defend is now very, very strong.
I agree with that.
They can't use the super strength, right? Like that.
That's huge. You can't fly. I mean, that might be more of a mid-game issue if you need to carry support pieces to specific positions on the map. But King Jefferson, he's enhancement, leadership. He gives, if you're running a theme team, he gives everybody probs on range attacks.
He's also mystical, so he pairs with Elsa. Or sorry, not Elsa, but
Madison.
What?
With who? Oh, did you say Green Man?
No, I did say Green Man.
What's her name? Jennifer Kale.
Oh, Kale, I said Madison too.
He doesn't have any keywords with Mern, I believe. So I don't know. I think this figure is something to look at for defense, but Me and Calder talked about this. If you want to run an alpha team, you can run an alpha team. Like, what are you going to do if you go second? Like, the answer can't just be go first. You have to incorporate some sort of survivability to the team.
Yeah, I mean, who's the biggest alpha threat right now? It's got to be Kong still.
Colossus the motorcycle.
Colossus is definitely one, yeah.
I would say Kong is over Colossus because he can just target the entire team with Quake.
Yeah.
Colossus is just gonna nuke one person.
Yeah, I think a couple of the 2x2s that can get full board are threats too.
Plus the mind control tarot card going away hurts Colossus a little bit. In a way that there are no like tarot cards that Kong heavily depended upon.
True.
Yeah, because if you're gonna build a Kong team to take its 2 actions, I mean, you can keep it to that 6-figure mark, 5 or 6 figures.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's definitely some good chases in this set.
There's always 300-point dark side.
I would hate to play that. No, if you run Trick Arrows, you should be able to beat Darkseid.
Yeah, Nth Metal. Not Nth Metal, the can't reduce damage one.
That or you don't get stop clicks or TAs. Just outwit.
Where he doesn't have stop clicks.
You don't know. It's
turn
for
off
the
TA, buddy.
Yeah, turn off causing energy and outwit them.
Yeah.
But I've been working on a team already for this new environment.
I think in Deadpool, Elsa will take off a little bit because there's some good monsters still left.
Yep.
Especially moving forward, I think they're going to do some stuff.
Yeah.
Did you hear they're going to ship the zombie Washingtons finally?
Nice.
Took enough time.
The Beholder.
Do you think Beholder will hold any spot in competitive play?
The fact that he was a D20, it's so exciting.
There's so much variance. I don't think any of the D20 rolls are particularly bad though.
At what point value would you play him though?
150 is pretty good.
Yeah, 100%.
He's not
150.
better than Darkseid at full.
No, but you play him at 150. Like the only thing you're sad about is if you roll a 19 or 20 and you don't crit.
Yeah, I guess it's really difficult to run tent poles right now with this environment. I think there's too many answers to take them down.
Yeah, you just get out
mean
action.
High pointed tent poles, I think, is what you're trying to clarify, is right?
Yes, like if an OMA.
Yeah, it's a little different. 200 points plus. Yeah, guys.
Well,
Yeah.
what 4 plus 7? That's 13 plex or so, and you got full board.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, he's got it.
Super Senses, Willpower, Safeguard Outwit.
You know who he would have loved to have on his team? Spiderling with just a die sitting there, so when you roll a 6 plus something else and you make that crit hit.
And just kill something?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think there are a few very important defensive options that we didn't discuss that are still modern. First of all, the traffic barrel still exists.
Yeah, the
Love
traffic
it.
barrel's good.
Probably got even better now that stop sign's gone.
Yeah.
100%.
They left that plastic man object still in there?
Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
Oh man.
And then
Love
the
that
other
thing.
one is the Chainsaw Wonder Woman still in the game.
Definitely, yeah, she's
Yeah, Nik Madison's there.
Also, one of the pogs, for what it's worth, which one is it? Dogpool? No, Dogpool.
Mastermind to anyone that's next to him.
I mean, it's 15 points of Mastermind. That might be worth something.
Xanadu does pretty much the same thing. She says if she perplexes someone that she shares a keyword with, she gives them Mastermind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's
I
prime
think Xanadu Prime is going to be a very good piece. Like, you don't even need to fit the tarot cards. Like, it's just perplex prop.
I love this. It's so good.
And, like, give people Mastermind.
Yeah. When I first saw that, or the Dogpool one, Jeff, I was like, oh, well, I mean, that's sneaky.
Good dog. Take one for the team.
Pretty much.
So what else moving forward besides Colossus Kong do you think is going to stand out for Masters of Time? I think the Diana chase dropping someone is going to be...
Diana / Zala.
I think Zala is
something
the
to look at.
better answer.
That +1 damage is disgusting, dude.
So good. She's
Well,
such
like,
a
the
team player.
thing about Diana is that she has the attack, but she has empower. So if you're going for a melee team, it's kind of both, right? If you want to look at it through some rose-tinted glasses, you could say, "Oh, look, I'm getting the attack bump and a damage bump," which is something.
The fact that Zala's 50 points and she's just 10, 11, 18 for 4 with hypersonic speed. Very
Yeah, Zala has
simple
like full
attacker.
reach on herself.
Yeah.
And then she could just port someone.
And she ports someone over.
And then get +1 damage. Yeah, it's really good.
My figure of choice is I'm on the Blue Beetle Prime hype train.
That piece is good too.
I have spent too
Lucky.
many times. No, dude, honestly, you don't even have to do that. That piece does so much just without even nuking a character.
It's outwit that can go through power cosmic.
Pretty, yeah.
You can't use dark side. You can't use your impervious, buddy. Good luck.
Yeah. You pick your attack power. Like if it gets damaged, pick steel energy.
What's the power you pick, Nick? Precision?
Precision or steel energy? Or if you want to go energy explosion, you could do that. Like
yeah, energy's fine.
I think people will.
If you're close.
Like once you play it more, I think you'll realize that you don't have to just single target to use that figure efficiently. There's a lot of mystical pieces that make that figure just such a well-rounded figure.
I think his only problem is most people gonna play him at 45.
No, you have to
play him at 75.
Most people are gonna play him at 45 just to wedge that ability in there, and they're gonna watch him get incinerated.
Yeah,
but like you said,
who are you killing with 45 though?
No one, but you could put him in though for the choose an opposing character just to turn the power off. That's worth 45 points by itself.
It is,
right?
Yeah,
but then you just watch it just blow away.
I think you have to play it at full, and I think you build around that figure. I guess that's my thing.
Yeah,
you could make it a secondary attacker. You can figure out some way of doing that.
Yeah, one or two.
Is Perdegaton going to be on like 85% of the teams just to mess up opening placement?
Yeah.
So I think the answer is yes, and especially now that people have actually read the card and figured out how his tokens work properly. He's 20 points. He dies. You don't get 2 hits. You don't get 2 lives on. You have to check.
He's not a daredevil.
Yeah.
He's going to be on so many teams just simply because he's 20 points.
Leadership.
TK prob leadership.
Yeah, he's fun. He's gross. Now it depends. Like if you're going up against Perdegaton, I think you just pick. I don't know. It's you want to make sure that the side of the map you pick doesn't force you to break immunity if they separate your team. If you have a map like that, I guess is for Perdegaton, then it's not as bad because you can just take that one action to just get back into place. But if it's a map where it separates with walls and it's an indoor map and it forces them to walk around, then you just go bomb that piece.
How does the Perdegaton trait work? Does it swap with someone else, or is it placed anywhere in the starting area?
Yeah, it's during character placement. You place one of their figures anywhere in their starting area.
Okay.
Yeah.
He just solos one of your dudes. Just goes, go away.
Pretty much, yeah.
What are your this figure that I'm about to mention? I guess, in my opinion, falls under the same category of potentially defensive figures. Kal-El, Prince Kal-El.
That piece is pretty interesting.
People will play him notoriously because even when Peace Machine was a thing, someone always liked playing that figure just to kind of grind the game to a halt, right? The problem with that is it grinds your game to a fault as well as your opponent's.
But I guess my counter argument to that would be at least you have there's a game to be played at that point.
Correct. So it's all going to be based on, I'm going to assume most people are going to play him at 75 if that's the case, right? Because
I don't know, man. Peace Machine was 50 points, man. This is 75. Like I get he's much more of a hitter.
He brings leadership too. Yeah, 75 is his lowest.
But
right,
I don't know,
he's
man.
an 11 for 5. He does have the hypersonic speed, right?
Well,
he can fight. Don't get me wrong.
See him coming,
right? The problem is, he does not. He could take a hit for 3 once, because with his invone, he'll take the 3, go to his last click, and then you sneeze and he dies, right?
And he's not protected outwit, right?
Nope. He's pretty easy to take out that way.
He definitely is like a glass cannon for sure.
Yeah, if you can outwit his invuln and then You have a character with super strength,
I mean,
force blast, and hit him for
do
3.
you think
die.
he's played at his mid dial then? For
No.
that
It's
ability?
100.
Ever?
No.
No.
I mean,
Like-
that movement ability, you can do some alpha there when he hits with
Sure.
hypo and then ports a ruler.
It's just too expensive.
He doesn't
He
port
doesn't
a
port a
ruler.
ruler.
He makes a ruler attack a character he's damaged this turn. It's not
Another
Zala or,
friendly, mind
yeah,
you.
it's
You
Not
have
another
to-
friendly.
You
not
have
Zala
to
or Diana.
other.
So you're not alpha with him. You're going. Someone else is going in first.
Gotcha.
And I guess you could
Okay.
full board move Kong, and then if you hit, Kong can make an attack, but like that seems kind of bad.
I'm
He's
not a fan, guys.
He's a piece that I'm looking at. I don't know if there's anything there because you guys are right. 75 is pretty high costed.
This is not the piece you're looking for.
We've been going down all the list of chases, and actually, I think you haven't talked about the one that I'm probably most excited about, which is Harley,
There you go. I was
That's
waiting.
very
Thank you,
good.
Clay.
Yeah.
because I feel like she's like the new white shirt Scott Porter.
Definitely the
Yeah.
Diet Coke of Scott Porter, right?
100%.
Yep.
But
Coke Zero.
she is really hard to kill.
Right.
But she covers so many bases: team player, pulse wave, prob, and she gives your team +1 attack situationally. Like so, we've gotten. It's very easy to lose sight of the fact that we become very, very spoiled from the stat bump from Scott Porter's.
Yeah.
But we're going to go back to a world where those like global stat bumps go away. So not only her who stands out as a +1 attack, but Flash Raptor giving +1 defense.
I think
Good
Flash
base-
Raptor is going to be very good.
Friendly characters that share a keyword.
Yep.
And then above all, I think the one that I'm really curious to see, if somebody's going to really break her is Supergirl.
Zala or the rare Supergirl?
The
one
rare
with
Supergirl.
the healer. Yeah.
Yeah.
But those pieces are very good.
And she's like clearly going to be busted in pulp.
Yes.
But she is
Yeah.
she is definitely a piece that could see like modern playable, like because it's not only the healing trait itself is remarkable and she's very good.
Yeah.
But it's also the fact that she sees through everything.
Yeah.
So you get her into the middle of the map, and she even if she's at top dial, she sidesteps and she sees everything on the map. There's no way to block her line of fire.
So you kind of answered the question that I was going to prelude into is full points or low points, and Clay, you're at full points.
I think that in sealed full points was the right thing to do.
Oh. Okay.
I'm not convinced about modern.
Okay.
I think the thing that made her so potent in sealed at that 100 point is like she has 2 stop clicks, and you don't really want to punch her because when you knock her onto the first one, she becomes a monster.
Yeah.
And so if you don't deal with her, everybody on her team just keeps healing and healing. And so if you have like some brick beefy kind of characters, they're so hard to put down. Like so think of like we just talked about Harley. Harley has the ridiculous trait where when she would take 3 or more damage, she takes 1 instead.
Yeah.
But
That's
then
wild.
she heals. So unless you punch her for 2,
Which doesn't really exist in this game anymore.
right? She can't die. Like what an amazing combo those 2 pieces are, right?
Yeah.
Well, and if I remember correctly, Supergirl only triggers once per character or once per attack.
It's
Once per character per turn.
But if the character is damaged by an attack, if Supergirl hasn't healed them yet this turn, after resolutions, heal that character 1 click.
So if they're spreading out damage, it's very your team isn't really moving.
She's protected. She's the old protected feet card for Harley at that point. And they both sit on a cosmic.
She's a soul sword for your team, basically, right? Like
yes.
Dude, that's wild.
And so now yes, we have a trick arrow that allows you to go through stop clicks, but like, is every team going to employ that in every situation? Like, being able to hit a stop click and heal is pretty crazy, as we know. So I think Supergirl is the one. But
Nice. I think, dude, Black Lantern Swamp Thing might be scary enough to do some work, man.
He's very good.
Like,
I'm trying so hard to get
I was
it.
like, I think you might be able to build up the Black Lanterns enough.
Gonna have to drop some dough, kid.
I know. Nobody wants to work with me.
What's a good? I'm assuming Poseidon's going to be on a lot of sidelines.
Poseidon looks awesome, especially
Yeah,
if you do it with a Kong. You just put him on Atlantis, bam.
Yeah. I was looking at Atlantis though, but like, dude, some of those like it's kind of hard to position where every square around you is water.
Oh,
Cause like there's
did
the
it?
blocking and stuff. But like it depends on if you get the high side, then like they're kind of fucked. Like everything in the middle is like completely open. But
There's a
if they
current
they
modern map you could do it with.
yeah.
Right,
Monster
There are
Island?
also
right,
terrain
right,
markers.
Jeff?
There's
Iceberg Lounge.
Iceberg Lounge, Monster Island.
Yeah.
No, there's some good maps for sure.
but there's
I think
also
Poseidon's definitely gonna
you
be
can
good.
play ice patches and
Mhm.
put down your own water too. So
Like that what's it? That's the ROC map that's out there
Oh,
right
Icy
now.
Lake too, right?
Icy Lake.
But no, there's only a few water terrain markers in there. Like the most of it's just special terrain. All the orange is special. It's not considered water, is
But-
it?
But did you read what happens when you do
Okay.
things on them?
Yeah,
That map
it's
sucks.
confusing.
Isaac, but that map is just to confuse your opponent. It's another
It-
thing for your opponent to think about.
It's poorly worded.
and what do you guys think about John Constantine?
So
This is
there
good.
will be the guy that says you can't do anything. That says like you don't get to play anything. He'll play John Constantine and Beetlejuice together just to screw you over.
Super hate bear. I
Play
think
Burn.
he's
So you
good.
can't positively modify your values.
I think if he had one more attack value across the board for his numbers, I think he'd be worth the points. Like those 10s are pretty rough.
That's true.
But he's 50.
Yeah, exactly. He's 50 points and he has a 10
Eh.
attack value in today's format. Like, what are you talking about?
I thought he had perplexed. Is he outwit prob?
It's our prob.
Okay. Well, there's plenty of perplex and mystical.
Unless you got some JLA going on.
Yeah.
But, dude, the 10's rough, man. Like, dude, even Faust was 30, right? And he had an 11.
Can't
we're supposed to have a
compare him
power
Faust
creep.
anymore, man.
We're supposed to have a power creep. Things are supposed to get better.
He also has twice the health of Faust too.
Sure.
He is team player, so you could potentially.
I said JLA, right?
Yeah.
You could use Sinister Syndicate or
All right.
Enemy.
You got options.
Yeah, I don't think you're playing him because he's your attacker. I think you're playing him probably in a more defensive-minded team, and you're using to shut down your opponent. So play it with like King Jefferson and Jennifer Kale, and now you have a pretty tough nut to crack, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're playing hate bears at that point, right? Like, if you're playing a tough nut to crack, but then how do you win, right?
Because you also have Kong or Man Thing, right? All mystical.
They're all mysticals, right?
I
Jefferson.
mean, that was what just one
Jefferson's
world
no slouch.
basically was.
I'm gonna play devil's advocate at this point. That being Dylan won worlds with Man Thing and Kong, that most people are gonna have an answer for that now.
We'll see. I actually think it got harder to have an answer for those things now.
Is there an answer to Man Thing? Because I feel like the answer to Man Thing is just hit. I mean, he's a 19 reflexes, right? So don't.
Isn't he
Not
outwittable?
sure. It is. It's your
Yeah.
team
It is
you
an
just
invincible
described.
shape change, right?
It's a defensive shell team. It's, hey, my guys are all 19 defense or higher, and you have to and you can't increase your combat values. Like, good luck. That's the strategy, right?
Hope is not a strategy.
No, but probability is.
That's fair. But like, I don't like the hope your opponent's not going to hit your team.
I mean,
I'm personally not a fan. Like, I know it works in circumstances. It's just not me.
like we just talked for a while about like how do you survive going second?
The shell, right? That's what you're talking about, right?
This is what you do. You
I think-
pump your defense values high and you suppress your opponent's combat values.
I agree.
And
I
then
think
you hope. I mean, but what else is there?
Mern or Kale have to be. I think there are requirements to have like that ability on your team.
Yeah, like
Have which ability?
you either need to play Mern or Kale, right?
Yeah, Mern or Kale. I think you pick which one you like and you go with it. You build around that.
I think that you're right. Yeah, it probably is. Yeah, maybe
Kale-
Mern's a good option too. I think
Kale, I
Kale
feel
got a lot
soft.
better because you can't just boot her into the wall. She's a lot harder to deal with now.
Well, the issue with Kale is that Kong quakes at a 12 attack and just kills her.
Yeah, but you know, if
Because
you have
she's printed at 17?
17. So he just needs a 5.
But remember,
Yeah.
there weren't the 19 defend options didn't theme with her. Now you have a 19 defend option that themes with her.
How was Kale and Mern worded? They can't be modified. You can still replace their values, right? And still keep the effect of that?
And you can perplex them down.
Yeah.
Right. So if I go and Mern my opponent, they still keep a 19 defend if they're adjacent to one. And that's the same thing with Kale.
Correct.
Can't possibly modify, right?
Yeah. That's another why I think King Jefferson might be a staple.
I
And
think he's a very, very good piece.
can't modify. Yeah. You can Sinister Syndicate. Bad
I
enemy.
have another question for the group. Going back to, I'm very proud of all of the West Coast people who competed this year and how well everybody did. I think that it's been very interesting as kind of a community of players, how we have been playing more and more together over the last few years. And I think we spent more time kind of brainstorming teams, sharing ideas, playing against each other, cross-pollinating a bit more. I'd love to hear your thoughts on what do you think we did well as a community that helped us succeed in such great numbers and prepare for Worlds that maybe we haven't done in the past? How are we approaching team building, playing teams better than we were before, or was it just a fluke and we're going to go back to being in the future tournaments?
I gotta say, I think it's your website that's really brought us up. I'm being serious. It's so much harder to get to Worlds with an unknown trick, and I think that's what your website has done. It's showing everybody what the meta is, and it allows us all to learn and I guess become better players as a community as a whole, where previous websites didn't have that capability. That's why you could get to Worlds with a Scarlet Witch trick, right? It's this time it felt like when we were at Worlds, we all knew what the environment was. We had to become better players to deal with it.
Let the record show I did not pay you to answer.
You did not pay me to. No,
I mean, was it a leading question? Maybe.
No, I agree with Nick. I was able to assess the data. That's why it took me so long to figure out what I was playing, because I was just kind of data mining, trying to grab all the data that I could from all the events posted and just kind of see, all right, they're playing this here, they're playing that there. Is this going to even be played there? Just kind of assess what I need to play to counter the meta, right? So, dude, specifically, the team I felt I played was a meta call to counter a lot of the stuff that I thought I was going to see. So I agree. It is 100% HC units, or we'll get 85% HC units. But I think just over the years, all the events that we've all played together, we've just grown closer together. We've continued to succeed together, and we all want to help each other succeed as a group. So I think that's why we've all done well. I thanked you all after I got to the place that I did. I was I couldn't have gotten here without you guys. All the games over the years of practicing, we've all got here together. And I think as long as we're all still playing together, we're all still working together, we're going to continue to dominate the tournament scenes.
Well, I'm going to play the devil's advocate. Yes, it's great that we have HC units. Certainly, I love it too.
Trash.
But everybody has access to that. That's not a West Coast specific thing.
No, you're right. It's what Jeff said. I think it's 85% HC units, but that 15% is still up to the player to do their due diligence, see what's out there, and come up with strategies on how to take care of the meta.
Like, yes, there is public information, but doesn't mean everyone reads it. Doesn't mean everyone chooses to access to have. Doesn't everyone does not choose to use all the tools accessible to them, right? Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Just because they have a hammer there doesn't mean they use it to hammer the nail in. They could choose to use a screwdriver, right? It's just an analogy.
Like if you want, I mean, your website provides the players that want to take their game to the next level the resource that they need to see what's being played across the country. It allows the West Coast players to see what the East Coast players are using, and vice versa. Yeah, I mean,
which to be honest was information that was available before. It's presented a little differently, but it's more easily accessible. I think I had to spend a lot of time scouring Facebook groups and to find stuff. But yeah, Patrick, what you look like you wanted to say something.
Did? I would definitely say the thing that really stands out for the West Coast comparatively is I think it's more of a tighter knit group because I feel like what Heroclix is to people outside of our zone is that they're individual pockets of people that listen to podcasts, which is great, right? It's good to get outside information and outside points of view and incorporate it into your group. But the difference is when you actually meet up with people and actually participate outside of your typical area, right? Because when I feel like we talk about the West Coast, right? You have California, you have Las Vegas, you have Arizona, you have Washington, you have all these different places that are separated by larger distances, right? And that distance creates diversity that when you travel to it, right, you are invested in some sort of way to actually want to do well. So you may actually more intently pay attention when someone from a different area says something compared to just listening to your weekly podcast or hanging out with the boys at one town shop and then drive an hour across state lines to get to a different one, right? So I think that would be the first one. The second one is I feel like there's maybe a little bit of a pride thing that happens with the West compared to the other areas. It's a little different. I feel like some people that live on the West are feel a little more slighted or not seen, and they purposely want to be seen. Like, hey, HeroClix actually happens west of the Mississippi. Hey, pay attention to us, type scenario.
Wouldn't know anything about that, would you, Nick?
I know there's a lot of big movements where the people were like, hey, there's a lot of us out here. Why don't we do stuff over here? And I feel like those people that are trying to get that motion out there should definitely, get heard and very much considered. So it's like there's that motivation piece that's probably not the same. I don't want to say it's not there. And then the last one is I feel like there's a large disparity that occurs between the haves and the have-nots and the good and the non-good players. I'm not saying that people aren't good, but just for a lack of a better term, that's more on the East than it is on the West, right? You have these larger named individuals that go to frequent events that are across state lines, right? That they're like roaming bosses in a video game that you never know who's going to show up, right?
Fair.
Right. It's a little different like that. You're like, oh, do I waste my money and go if Scott Crampton's going to show up, right? I don't want to do that, right? Whereas in the West, that's a little harder for us to do that, and you just have your local hero level people. I know Nick and myself hear this a lot at our local venue, like, oh, what do I want to play if Patrick or Nicholas or Roland's going to play? Like, right? But they still play because they know the three of us don't really show up very often, right? Because
depends on the event.
Life, desirability, and the event, right? So we don't show up on a weekly basis typically. So they still come and they still play, right? But at the same time, there's some restraint with some of those local hero type people that maybe the roaming mob boss type character doesn't have, because they're saying, I am driving 45 minutes. I want to win this event to get that one piece of plastic, right? I feel like those are like the 3 big points that I have that are a little different from the East and the West when it comes to those things. And I think the West proved that the 3 things that we have that they don't have is very powerful, and sometimes you just got to get lucky. I'm not saying that Dylan got lucky, but I'm not saying he didn't get lucky with, flipping a tarot card that really helped him win, right? My boy here probably would have snuffed him. Okay? I said that. I just want to point out that any listener that says Nicholas said that, no, you come at me. All right? I'm the one that said that.
Come to the booth.
I appreciate that, Patrick.
What do you think, Brandon? Anything stand out to you?
I haven't been to a lot of these events with East Coast players, so I don't really have like a great input. But I know a lot of us West Coast players are very tight knit. Like every tournament we go out to, like almost every tournament, like a good group of us go out to eat and like hang out with each other. Like we always talk. Like I know Jeff's always like, oh, I messaged Nick the other day. Oh, I messaged Clay the other way. Like Jeff is always talking to everyone. So I think that camaraderie and that close knit group is a big advantage for us.
You're stealing my secrets. Shh. Communication
I
is
actually
key,
want to build
guys.
on that. So I have a couple of my own ideas. I think that we as West Coast folks have done a better job of communicating, like sharing information around team and team ideas, meta concerns, etc. I know I have a number of like chat groups that I've become a part of, which are kind of like focused around team building and sharing ideas. And honestly, I felt like, prior to this year, there was a lot of, it wasn't just that we had lacked the tools, and the HC Units helps with this, but like, there was just, people were more secretive and guarded, and they didn't want to share those secrets because they wanted to like go to their venue and play those teams. And now I actually see people are sharing the teams more. And I want to give like a big shout out to Roland, who honestly, like, I actually think, Nick, you're an amazing pilot, but Nick, but I think Roland really helps you out a lot. That's the sense I get.
I'm not going to deny that.
If I'm wrong, but like, I love that we are kind of leaning into this like idea that some people are amazing team builders and other people are amazing pilots, and that by working cooperatively, we can lean into our individual strengths and kind of like, so Roland may not be the one who has his name on, the second place victory, but I think that there's like a bench of people behind successful people that help propel them, and and kind of leaning into that team effort. I think is something that I've seen. I think is a notable change from like yesteryears. The other thing that stands out to me too is like, when's the last time you guys have played a bronze game? It's been a while. So like maybe we are starting to actually, by moving away bronze, we're doing ourselves a favor because we're playing more modern.
I just think we're going to get more support from WizKids.
Yeah.
And I know, Jeff, you probably don't want me to, I know you're sad to hear that because I know you love bronze. And I had a lot of fun playing bronze too, but it also kind of does us a disservice when we're playing a different game than everyone else.
We were born into the darkness. So you can bring us into the light. We'll be okay. No, dude, like in comparison, like there's just less stuff to remember, especially now that like tarot cards are going to be gone. It put us through like the hardest of times to train us, to make us remember, to prepare us for like hardcore tournaments, right? But now that is gone, like I'm willing to focus my efforts towards modern. It seemed to be okay. Like, remember back in the day, I was like, "What's modern?" Remember, like a year ago, I think I literally said like, "What's modern?" Right? Like, so look at
hardcore bronze for a long time.
Look at me now. I'm a changed man.
Top 4 in modern.
What? Yeah. I was like, dude, what am I doing here? This isn't bronze.
No.
Yeah, no. Like I said, I think either on the drive back or that one evening, I was like, I wouldn't have been there without you guys, like helping me, playing games with me, like theory crafting with me, like 100%. Like I was there because of the people that I play with, and which is like the California group. So like, thank you guys so much again for everything and helping me get where I got to.
Yeah, I mean, that goes for me too. I mean, I started traveling to Cali like 2 years ago in the bronze format. So
Yeah.
I think we all transitioned into the modern age together. And yeah, like me, you, Clay, Anthony, like we all learn new tricks from each other. And every time we play each other, I feel like we always have to play our best games.
Oh yeah,
So
no, like we're never slacking
yeah,
when we play each other.
Alyssa
Like
too. Don't forget her.
no, 100%.
who's that?
Like it in California, it's like me, the Baragons, Clay, Alyssa, Brandon when he plays a little more consistently. Like are the top players like consistently Jackson. Like are the top 6, like top 5 players in California, and like we all pretty consistently show up to the same event. So it's not like one of us is dominating a region. There's a lot of great players in California to push each other to be better, right? So
Definitely.
I think that helps, and especially because the Vegas guys are now coming over. We're going over there. Specifically, I think a California player won the last Nevada state championship. That's awkward. Nick, maybe you can fix that.
That was before
Gonna
I was
have a
good.
chance for redemption soon.
I think a Vegas player just won an Atomic Comics event like not too long ago.
What's that?
But did it like the next day, like he left or something, and then like another tournament happened, and like
And then
California people
a
won.
California player won. 2 California
Yeah,
players won the
isn't
next
that
day.
crazy?
That's wild.
I got there. I went undefeated, left my mark, and I had to get out of the state.
Hey, I'll take 2-1 for the weekend.
Well, got out
that
before.
Seems fine, right?
Yeah.
Second or first.
Do we just drop the big one and say, I mean, a Vegas player technically got second this year. Where did your California people lay?
Oh, top
under
4's
him.
pretty good.
Top 4.
Out of
Under
190 people, top 4.
I'm pretty sure 2 is better than 4.
Which
4 is
state
bigger than
beat
2.
the other state in top 4? I think Nevada.
And technically, the person that we all don't want to say their name technically lives in Las Vegas now too. Ooh.
And we had this like feel good moment for a second, and now we're all back into these rivalries, these petty rivalries. What?
Wait, so
this
who's
is what
moving to
drives
Vegas?
us to be better, Clay. This is why we are superior. We have the petty rivalries.
Clay, have you seen Scrubs? Are you familiar with the TV series?
I am familiar with the.
You remember the redheaded doctor?
What?
The redheaded doctor. I can't remember his name. But I remember a quote from him. He wakes up every morning and tells himself how much he hates himself so that he will spend the effort of his day improving himself. So he hates himself less. And then he'll wake up and tell himself the same thing every day. You got to improve some way, right?
I guess so.
There's a lesson. There's a lesson there somewhere, friends.
I think we did a very good job conveying to Ryan what we want to see happen to the West Coast when we were there.
Yeah.
I know we have Alyssa's league event that's going to kick things off here in a few months, but what I want to see is a big event to the scale of like Gen Con or Champion Clix, ideally in Vegas because it's kind of the center point of the West Coast. We have the hotels to do it. That would be
San Diego Comic-Con seems maybe you can figure it out too. They also have Wizard World like over in LA stuff. Like, do they have big cons in Vegas? Because I know they have cons in Anaheim. They have like LA Comic-Con. They have Anaheim.
There's a lot of cons.
Yeah, I mean it would be a cost factor. I don't know. Yeah, you are right. Like you guys have the cons to do it, but what's the cost to get in?
Yeah.
But Patrick, you said it. Like the East Coast players have an advantage to where a lot of their big tournaments they just need to cross a few states.
Oh, and their states are like a quarter of the size of ours.
Yeah, to get to.
Very true.
So it's easier for them to, I guess, stay active in the meta environment.
The accessibility is wild compared to what we have, right? Like,
yeah, I would love to see some larger events.
Yeah, even in Oregon, there's Emerald City Comic Con, right?
Yeah,
like there's cons up and down the West Coast that they can get into.
I think the reality is, though, I mean, like we as the players have to be willing to drive those efforts, and it's what we're seeing is like WizKids is more than happy to work with players to help provide support for those events, but it really is on us to put those together. And I that's why I give like Alyssa a lot of credit for putting together the Clix League West and like building that up, and so I think if we want to see a big, like if you want to see a big event on the West Coast, you either need to put it out in yourself or you need to like work with Howard or Dave Newmark and some of the organizers of the other big tournaments and kind of make that happen. That's the thing, is like we want to see it, we can't just sit passively by and wait for it to happen.
Like, we have seen it. We ran a successful circuit for 4 or 5 years on the West Coast.
Yeah.
That drove us all together, right? Like,
yeah. So we need to
it's when WizKids made the change to give prizing to like everybody. That's when things had to change. So
yeah, I don't think we have to prove that we have the numbers, because every time we've done the bronze 2Ks, we bring the numbers out for those. So I think we probably get more people if we switch to modern.
Oh, double to triple, I would imagine.
Yeah.
So
we get a lot more people.
I don't think there's no. Yeah. I mean, I think we pitched our case to Ryan. We just have to wait.
Yeah.
And see what happens.
Sounds great. Well, I look forward to the new modern. Next set is Black Panther, if I'm correct.
Yes.
There's a couple things that dropped while we're at Worlds, if I'm correct. It was the Heist Pack. It was the
Vibranium.
It was the Shark. Yep, the Heist Pack, the Shark, and the X-Men stuff.
Yeah.
And then the Iconics, the Avengers.
Yeah,
that did
this week.
Which is like, I was looking on the website. I'm like, why does it have September 1st as the release date? I'm like, I know it was not released on September 1st.
They never ask silly questions that distributors don't care about.
Sorry, I asked too many questions apparently. Well, that was awesome. Thank you guys for an awesome Worlds trip. Thank all the judges. Thank all the organizers. Thank Ryan. Dude, it was an amazing event. I look forward to coming back next year. Bigger, badder, and stronger with the West Coast. I already have a couple, so last year I went back and one of the guys is like, I'm going to try and go next year, which was Mike. Mike is my player who's deaf, so he signs. And I told him that I saw a deaf player there last year, and he came out this year. And Caleb Reddick, fortunately, came out to one of our Bronze Age events, and he met Mike, and they signed, so they were able to connect. And Caleb was able to connect him with some of the other players there. So Mike had an amazing time. He's definitely going back, so big shout out to him. But yeah, man, I look forward to next year, and hopefully some Champion Click stuff and some other cool stuff. So anything else, friends?
No, I think that was very successful.
Next year we're taking it all.
The community keeps growing, and I love it. This is my third Worlds. Every time I've gone, I've been able to bring more people to Worlds, and I think the more people we can get out there, the experience is just, keeps getting better and better.
Yeah, like I almost wish it was an extra day, just because like everything is so crammed in. Like, I want to hang out with everyone. I want to spend time with everyone, get into those like cool interactions. And like, I felt more stretched this time trying to spend time with like people like Clay. Like, I wish, like, I know the time before, like you and I were joined at the hip, but like, I know we were sharing a room, but like you and I were kind of pulled different ways this time. And like, we still met up at the end and we're like, how's your day? Like, it was awesome. So like, dude, yeah, I definitely like had such a good time, but like pulled so many different ways.
Yeah, I felt like I spent almost no time with anybody, unfortunately, and yet still managed to only sleep like 5 hours a night because I was so busy.
Dude, I was running on fumes. Like, oh my God. Like, even leading up to Worlds, I was like, oh, I'll get some decent sleep at Worlds like I did last year. Nope. Nope.
I had a great sleep. I don't know what you're talking about.
Dude. Like, I wasn't even partying like some of the guys were, but I still it took me a while to wind down from all like the high level play, just even going out to dinner, mine's just going.
I will say this though, before I forget, the best thing that happened all week was the revenge tour finally actually happened.
I was waiting for that.
What's this revenge tour?
The captain got his revenge tour finally on Clay. Skipper Pat is now back to being happy.
Oh, from the betrayal of
The
him
betrayal of 2024. Revenge has been taken.
Hey,
all right.
I will take the silver lining of that. Like, I was already homies with George. Like, George is the homie, but because you did jump ship, Clay, I was able to get a closer relationship with Matthew Ventura, which is like we've talked before and like we've communicated, but like we were able to kind of connect and talk a little more. So that was it was worth it. Good job, Clay.
And
I'll
I will
accept
say
it.
this. I'll say this. My team has learned how to motivate me very easily through
Hate
anger and revenge and hate.
The hate will flow through you.
Apparently, I'm a Sith somewhere.
Yeah.
Thank you, Disney.
Yeah, so
and
does hate Clay, and you get good at HeroClix, guys. Apparently, that's all you got to do. It's not an easy thing to do. He's very well loved, but if you can, you'll be great at HeroClix. Oh man, you guys are too funny.
I'm sorry, Patrick.
Hey, you don't need to apologize anymore, man. The hate's not there anymore.
All right.
Hey, so Clay, who was the dud on your team this year, by the way?
There was no dud on my team.
Everyone was winning.
The brick that we pulled was the dud.
That's fair.
No, actually, we worked very well together as a team, and when we lost, every single one of them lost. So.
Oh, there you go.
No.
So if you're winning, you're winning.
Blame. Yeah.
Sounds good. Very cool. Well, until next time, friends, do not forget to practice rolling your dice. Take it easy.
Good night.
Night, guys.